Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Affordable Homebuyer Forum. Um, we're really excited that so many of you are taking time out of your day to join this webinar and to learn a little bit about the programs, the awesome programs that they're offering through Mass Housing and how you can access them at Harvard Federal Credit Union and throughout Massachusetts, however you'd like to do it. So just a little bit before we get started about the credit union. For those of you who don't know, I know a lot of you are members, but in case you're a little less familiar, up until recently, we had a different name. We were known for many years, more than 80 years, as Harvard University Employees Credit Union. But we serve more than employees of Harvard. We serve students, alumni, folks at the teaching hospitals, and beyond. And so recently we changed our name to Harvard Federal Credit Union. We are a not-for-profit financial institution, and we're run by Harvard employees. Once you're a member of the credit union, you can be a member for life. It doesn't matter if you leave your job where you first heard about us or qualified. We're happy to extend you our services wherever you go. Because we are owned by our members, again, we try to offer the best services. We don't have to make a profit for shareholders. Just an example of that is if you have an ATM card with us, if you have a checking account or savings account and you have a debit card with us, if you use an ATM anywhere in the country and they charge you a fee, we will refund your fees. So that's just one example of how we try to provide the best products, services, and rates for our members. We also just have a commitment to being upfront with you about exactly what the costs of different things are and how, whether or not you want to choose them, and to try not to come from a sales perspective. We also have online banking, of course, and easy mobile banking from the app. If you end up moving somewhere else, you can do what's called shared branching. You can walk into a network of shared credit unions and cooperatives and bank there as though you're banking with us. And we extend the same courtesy through the network. So that's something just to know if you end up being a little further away. And if you're not a member already, we would love to have you as a member. So a little bit to know about today's webinar. For the attendees, we cannot see you, we cannot hear you. So go ahead and eat your lunch or do whatever you need to do while you're attending this webinar. We're just happy you're here. During this presentation, we are going to be using the Q&A feature on Zoom to submit questions. The chat has been disabled, so if you have a question, you're going to want to put it into the Q&A. Sometimes on your menu bar, you have to go into more to find it. Go ahead if you want to go into the Q&A now and drop us a note about where you're joining us from. We always love to hear that. Or submit a question at any time during the webinar. We're probably going to save most of them for the end, but if there's something that's easy to answer, we will answer it right away. For example, we just got a question about whether this presentation is being recorded. Yes, it is. And it will be posted on our YouTube channel to rewatch. So that's something that will be sent to you automatically because you registered. You'll get the slides and you'll get the recording sent to you. Oh, I see we have someone here from Dorchester, Mass. Hi, it was exciting. At the end, we're going to ask you to complete a workshop survey, and we definitely appreciate your honest feedback. If you want to tell us anything, we read it all. We're interested. We try to improve ourselves. And I see someone joining us from Children's Hospital. Nice to see you from Quincy, Massachusetts. I do want to say, just based on some of the questions we got ahead of time, I tried to reach out to people just to reiterate, this is most appropriate for people who live in Massachusetts and are buying a home in Massachusetts. So if that's not you, I'm going to suggest that you reach out to us about different ways that you can get a mortgage. So we're excited to see Bill Rooka, Framingham State, Boston, looking to buy outside the city though, Quincy, Chelsea, Harvard Square, nice. Um, so Watertown and MGH, thank you for being here. So it's great. You all know how to use the Q&A. That's super. And keep sending them in. We appreciate hearing from you. My name is Jen Fries. I am the Community Engagement Manager for the Harvard Federal Credit Union. And I'm joined by my colleague, Daisy Familia. Daisy is a senior mortgage loan originator with the credit union. She has more than 20 years of experience in the credit union industry. She's been assisting members in, getting to your dreams of buying a home. And she helps equip her clients with all the knowledge that you need to make informed and confident decisions about, getting to your financial goals and your home goals. Daisy is also fluent in Spanish. She particularly serves the Harvard Square and Longwood medical area communities, but is available to anyone who wants to consult with her. So Daisy, if there's anything you want to say, or we can save it for the end. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for attending this forum, everybody. We're so happy to be here, and we hope that the information is very helpful to you. And yeah, keep those questions coming.
Yes. And then the star of our show, we're really excited to have Jeff Wright here. He's our relationship manager from Mass Housing. And we're mostly going to be talking about Mass Housing today, but we're going to answer some other questions about the home buying process. So I am going to stop sharing my slideshow now and have Jeff take it away. I see we have someone here from Alston. Marlboro, Somerville, yay. Everything feels unaffordable now. Someone from Cambridge, no, yeah, that's for sure. Okay, thanks,
Good.
Jeff. And go ahead and introduce yourself further. We would love to hear more about you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to confirm that you can see the slide, the presentation.
We can, thank you.
Awesome. Very good. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for spending your afternoon with Harvard Federal Credit Union and myself at Mass Housing. I appreciate your time, and I'm excited to find out how many people are on this call. It just goes to show you the need for affordable housing and the yearning for people wanting to buy a home for the first time. So as mentioned, my name is Jeff Wright. I am the relationship manager, one of 5 from Mass Housing. I cover Boston, Greater Boston, Northwest, and Harvard is one of our lender partners that assist homeowners in buying a house for the first time. So without further ado, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about who we are. Mass Housing is a semi-quasi nonprofit government agency appointed by the governor's office some 50-something years ago, with the mission of assisting homeowners with low to moderate income obtain a house for the first time. So we do a really good job of it. We have approximately 25,000 mortgages that we collect from homeowners every month. So we have quite the portfolio to help people out. We offer fixed rate mortgages along with some low down payment options, including down payment assistance that we'll get into in a couple of minutes, and a unique job loss protection insurance that is free of charge to you guys that I haven't seen that anywhere else in the industry. Mass Housing is not a consumer direct lender. We partner up with over 80 lenders across the state of Massachusetts, Harvard being one of them. You would work directly with them to obtain the mortgage, not Mass Housing. So somebody like Daisy will work with you directly, help figure out the different options that are available to you, the Mass Housing options, provide you with the pre-approval letter, and then once you get that loan approved, you're handed the keys to the home. The loan will be shifted to Mass Housing for servicing, which is unique and great because there are some programs out there that get shifted out to other parts of the country. However, we're in Boston. You'll be making your payment to us every month, which is nice because oftentimes if you ever have any questions, somebody on the other end of the phone or the email may live in your community or have been to your community. So I often say that we know how to pronounce the town Dracut as opposed to some places in other parts of the country call it Dracut, right? So you can hear I have that Boston accent, and we're all local, which is great. So without that, so are you eligible for a mass housing loan? Well, that's where you're going to work with somebody like Daisy to help you figure out which options are available to you. She will take a look at your income statements, which could consist of pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, et cetera, bank statements. And based on that, she would help guide you to the different options that mass housing offers. So some general requirements that we do have, the majority of our programs are geared towards first-time home buyers, which by definition is somebody that has not owned a home in the prior 3 years. And that's including somebody that would be on a deed. So that's pretty standard. Also, you must complete a first-time home buyer course if you are a first-time home buyer. Spoiler alert, this presentation is what's used for the first-time home buyer presentation for mass housing for the certified class. This is not a certified class. You would work with one of the nonprofits that would assign you to this program here. And you would take the class to them. If you're interested in purchasing a multifamily home, in addition to getting the certificate for being a first-time home buyer, you do have to take a landlord course as well. Another stand the test of time guideline is you must own the property and keep it as your primary residence while you have the mass housing loan. If you do decide that you want to get a second home down the road and keep the original loan, we ask you to refinance the property into a different type of loan. And lastly, very important is we have guidelines set in place that Daisy and Harvard will follow for your success. We want to ensure that not only you can afford the payment month 1, but also month 72 and 84. So we have these guidelines in place for your success. There are other programs out there that allow you to go to a higher, what they call debt ratio, but we're a responsible household agency. We want to make sure that we're setting you up for success, and Harvard does as well. So the 3 big takeaways for you to be on this call today that we're going to talk about is simply the down payment assistance that Mass Housing offers that works in conjunction with our first mortgages, that unique mortgage payment protection, and also a little bit about our interest rates and what we have to offer. So the down payment assistance, it is pretty unique. And this has really been the biggest barrier for homeowners buying for the first time up until we had this down payment assistance was everybody seemed to be able to afford the payment. They just didn't have the down payment. So when these first time home buyers were trying to put an offer in with say 3% down, their offers were getting overlooked by somebody putting 5, 10, 15, 20% down. And it was very frustrating. So Mass Housing came up with this idea where we can offer down payment assistance, and it's really been a game changer for homeowners buying for the first time because they're able to use that down payment assistance to help get their offers accepted. And it's been a big boost. It's worth noting that there are grants that are out there, community grants in Boston and other communities, and you can match those grants up with our down payment assistance. And sometimes you can get a big chunk of change down for your down payment. So I want you to remember that because there are options that you can use to dovetail with our down payment assistance and our mortgages. The second big takeaway is our MI Plus benefit. Typically and customarily, if you put less than 20% down on a property, you need some form of what's called PMI, private mortgage insurance. It's an insurance that doesn't really have a benefit to you. It protects the lender in case the property was to ever go into default. The lender never wants to own your house. They want to keep you in the house, but they lend money, right? So they want to make sure that you're able to make that payment. So therefore, it is a requirement if you put less than 20% down. With our conventional loans, however, we have this awesome benefit called MI Plus, and it's basically unemployment insurance. So once you're in the house, and it's a mass housing loan, you become temporarily unemployed, somebody that's on the mortgage, you can put a claim in, and this just actually got updated. We'll pay up to $4,000 principal and interest a month to keep you in that home. So that will go towards the mortgage. So it's one of the things that hopefully you don't need it, but Mass Housing has your back in time of need if something was to ever happen and somebody on the mortgage does become temporarily unemployed. Since COVID, during COVID, since 2020, we paid out over $1.5 million in claims. So it just goes to show you that Mass Housing really has your back, especially in time of need. And then lastly, the big takeaway also is all of our fixed rate mortgages are 30-year fixed on the first mortgages. There's no surprises. Very straightforward, very boring. I try to say it's vanilla type loans, but as far as a first time home buyer goes, and I'll include myself in that. My first mortgage was a 30-year fix. Even though I didn't keep it for 30 years, it just gives you an opportunity to know that the payment's not going to adjust after a certain amount of time. It gives you a little bit more confidence going into it. Lottery properties, you may have heard of those. The state has a fair amount of them, and Mass Housing is the perfect place to go for the lottery type properties. So typically what they are, they're deed restricted or called 40B properties. And basically it's a property that you get at a discount compared to market rate. So Mass Housing is definitely a great option for those type of properties. We don't have an asset test. Some programs out there, you can only have no more than 75,000 in assets. We don't have that asset test. It doesn't matter for us. As I mentioned, we're an in-state servicer, so you'd be making your payment to us for however long you have that mortgage with Mass Housing. We do have refinance options, so down the road, if you find that the rates drop and you want to refinance, we have options for that. I do think we do pride ourselves on excellent customer service, and things like that. MI Plus is one example of that. But we're here to answer the phone call. We get calls all the time when I'm not in a meeting or on the road. We'll get calls from potential first-time home buyers asking questions, lenders asking us questions, homeowners that have a question about their escrow account or making a payment. We're there nonstop to answer those questions. You're not getting that put on hold for 20 minutes to answer the phone. We answer it pretty quickly. So I do tend to think we provide us everybody with great customer service. We're going to talk a little bit about the second mortgage programs that we offer once you are a homeowner with us. And it's also worth noting that if you are a U.S. service member or a veteran, we do offer, with the proper paperwork showing honorably discharged, we do offer a $2,500 closing cost credit as a thank you for your service. So if this does apply to you, thank you for your service. And if you're looking to obtain a Mass Housing loan, please mention it to your lender and we'll happily provide you with that closing cost credit. So let's talk about the conventional products that we do offer. We have three. If you do remember this and you do end up speaking with Daisy or the loan officer you're working with, we have three programs: the gold, the green, and the blue. That's what everybody likes to refer them as. The first one is the Workforce Advantage. Now, across the board, we require a credit score of 640 or above, along with approved findings. So the Workforce Advantage is a pretty unique program. It counts compliance income for everybody that's going to be living in the home. I am actually going to show you the income grid for the three programs, because once you have that 640 credit score or above, now, depending upon your income that Daisy or your loan officer can verify, that will help dictate which program will be available to you. But if you do qualify for the Workforce Advantage program, it's such a great opportunity because that mortgage insurance that I had talked about a few minutes ago, it's actually what's called lender paid mortgage insurance, and it's paid by Mass Housing. So you don't have that monthly mortgage insurance payment. So it definitely gives you an advantage there. The down payment assistance that goes along with this program, and it is statewide, is $30,000. You're going to use that $30,000 the best way that you and your loan officer seem fit. It can be used towards your down payment. It can be used to help pay the closing costs. And it can be used also to buy down the interest rate, to get the interest rate a little bit lower as well. So it is, I'll talk about it in a second on the next slide, but it is a tremendous opportunity with this program if you do fit. It does count household income. So if you find the loan officer, when you provide all of the documents to Daisy or your loan officer, you find that you're over income for that program, they will look at the green first time home buyer program from that point. It doesn't have the 30,000 down payment assistance, but the consolation prize is still pretty good. It's 25,000, and this is statewide as well. So anywhere that you buy in the state of Massachusetts, if you qualify for this program, it will be a $25,000 second mortgage essentially, and then you use that money towards your down payment, also paying closing costs or possibly buying down the interest rate. You can use these products on condos, single families, and multifamilies up to 4 units. You will have monthly mortgage insurance with the Green First Time Homebuyer program, but it is what we call charter level coverage, so it will be aggressively priced. But let's just say you're over income once again for that program. And I am going to show you guys the income limits, and I know what you guys are going to do. You're going to see where you fit in which lane. But we do go up to what's called 135% of a calculation called the area median income. For instance, in Suffolk, Norfolk, Middlesex County, Essex County, that 135% limit is 191,700. And that's who's qualifying on the loan. So you can see we have the 3 different options as far as where your income falls. The difference being is with the Blue Mass Housing Program, the down payment assistance, if you were to take advantage of it, you need to purchase the home in one of the 29 gateway cities, which is right here. So with the higher income, you can use this program anywhere in the state, but as far as the down payment assistance with the higher income level, it needs to be in one of these communities that are in red or orange. I'm going to slide back because I want to talk a little bit more about the down payment assistance. Just as a recap, the Workforce Advantage does come with the 30,000. We call it DPA. It is a second mortgage. It is at 0%, and the payment is deferred. So you would, if you're approved for the first with the Workforce Advantage, the 30,000 that comes with it, you would use that again towards your down payment, the closing costs, or buying down the first mortgage. When you go to sell the house, refinance the home, or pay off the first mortgage, that 30,000 is now due. So there's no payment on it whatsoever. So it's a great opportunity if you do fit into this particular program. With the other 2 programs, the First Time Home Buyer or the Mass Housing Mortgage Program, it is 25,000. It comes with a 2% interest rate, and that 25,000 is based on a 15-year fix. I can share with you that payment is $160.88. So even if you have $25,000 of your own money to put down, maybe it makes sense to keep that money in the bank, throw it in a CD, maybe at 4 or 5%, and use Mass Housing's down payment assistance at 2%. So it's just an option that's there and available for any of the first-time home buyers. And again, you can bundle this up with any of the community grant money that's out there within the state of Massachusetts as well. We do also, those are our 3 conventional products, but we do offer FHA, Federal Housing Administration loans as well. We have a version, I'm not going to do a deep dive into this, but we have a version of the Workforce Advantage that has the 30,000 down payment assistance, and the First Time Home Buyer FHA program that offers $25,000 down payment assistance. We don't see this a lot because most of our customers are fitting into the conventional products that we just went over. But if whatever reason you can't qualify for a particular reason, this could be an option as well. And here it just shows you the 30 and the 25 that goes along with the particular programs. Here's the income chart, and I don't know if it's too small for you guys to see, but I'll actually give you an example. In Middlesex County, and we'll use the city of Lowell. You'll see a sliding scale up on top in the gold, it goes from 1 to 8, and that 1 to 8 is how many people are going to be living in the household. So if you're a family of 5, and let's just say it's a husband and wife, 2 kids ages 3 and 5, and a mother-in-law that's going to be moving in the house, possibly the loan would be in the husband and wife's name, not in the mother-in-law's name, and certainly not in the kid's name, but you would slide over with this scale and you would go over to a family of 5, and that income is 105,650 for the limit. Now that would count the income of everybody that's living in the house, which would maybe include the mother-in-law that may have Social Security or a pension. Now, conversely, that number is going to range depending upon the number of people that are going to be living in the home, and definitely where you're looking to buy, because still within Middlesex County, if you were to purchase in Malden, that number goes up to 140,700. So it really depends on where you're looking to purchase. I wouldn't do a deep dive and study this. Daisy and our loan officers have access to all this stuff, and they're going to use it as a reference point once they review your financials, your pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, etc., to determine if you fit into this particular program. Now, I'm sure you guys already took a look at this and say, yeah, it works, or maybe, nope, it doesn't work. Then you can take a look at the Green First Time Home Buyer Program, and that same property in Lowell, and I forget the other town that I had mentioned, but in Middlesex County, that income is 148,900. It's no longer household income, just who's qualifying on the mortgage. So you'll see there's a difference between the programs as far as income goes, and it's also going to vary. It's also going to vary depending upon which county you're actually looking at, and sometimes the community within the county. Say you're still over income, no matter how you slice it and dice it, you're looking to buy that house in Malden, and your income is 180,000. Then you would slide over to the Blue program, the Mass Housing Program, and you can see that income in Middlesex County goes up to 191,700. And that is, again, who's qualifying on the loan. No longer household income, just who's qualifying on the loan. So the loan officer, is very important for you to get those financial statements to your loan officer, and they will help decide which options are available for you based on the income in qualifying. So I hope that makes sense. It can be a little bit confusing because there's a ton of numbers on here, but rest assured, it's just to show you that there are different programs depending upon where you're looking to purchase and what your income shows as well. So getting started with mass housing, everybody tends to have a jaded perspective. The closing attorney always says, "Hey, contact me first." The realtor always says, "Hey, contact me, but let's not go looking at houses till you have the pre-approval letter." The lender says, "Yep, come talk to me first," which I think is important because there's no sense looking at a home if you don't have a pre-approval letter or pre-qualification for it. So I think taking a class like this and getting informed is a great option. And then from there, you definitely want to speak to your lender to find out what options are available to you. And then if you're interested in the mass housing loan, you definitely want to bring that up. And I always say, this is the first time you're doing it. There's no crazy question. The only crazy question I ever get is, "Hey, can I use this to buy a house in Rhode Island or New Hampshire?" No, you cannot. We just work with Massachusetts. There are other household agencies in other states that you can get those type of loans with, but for our purpose, it's just buying in the state of Massachusetts. Our website, masshousing.com, and I'm sure you are going to get the link for it, provides a wealth of information that I hope you take advantage of, anywhere from down payment assistance to the lenders that are approved everywhere in the state of Massachusetts. And again, Harvard is definitely one of our lenders that we use. You can access information in all different languages as well. It's a very user-friendly website. And I hope you definitely take the opportunity to check it out because you won't be disappointed. On here, it kind of shows you some of the splash page for the homeowners, home buyers rather. We do have a newsletter that you can sign up for. We're not going to bombard you with information. However, you can get some definitely some good tips on our website. and again, find a ton of information in not only English, but Chinese, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, Mandarin, etc. So we do a good job of providing that information to help you guys out with any questions that you have. Once you become that homeowner, we do have options. We have a refinance option. We're starting to see some of those come in with people that have taken the loans out with us a few years ago, or even maybe took a loan out that wasn't a mass housing and now they want a mass housing loan. If you get into the property and you find out that the property has lead paint, we handle the funding for the state of Massachusetts. So we have low and no interest rate options to get lead paint removed. We offer home improvement loans at very attractive interest rates. You don't see this quite often in Eastern Massachusetts because most properties are tied into town sewer. But if the property has its own septic system and it's in need of repair, we have financing for that as well. And then the last thing I want to talk about as far as the secondary mortgages, we implemented the Massachusetts Community Climate Bank just about a year ago. That was in its infancy stages, and we offer financing for energy efficiency products such as solar panels, heat pumps, windows, and shade trees is on the list, so on and so forth. So my point in showing you this stuff is just to kind of reiterate the fact that we have your back. We have all these options, not only before you purchase the home, but during the process and certainly after as well. This is our group of relationship managers. Virginia, or I should say Jenny, she goes by. She's our newest member. She is not a sunflower. She just doesn't have her picture up yet. We do have a toll-free number Monday through Friday. And like I mentioned, we have this headset on and answering questions on a daily basis without you having to wait 20 minutes to speak to somebody. We also have the home ownership mailbox that we receive and clear out 3 times a day with questions that come from everywhere. So again, we're here to help you out with mass housing, and I wish you the best of luck, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We appreciate you, and we are going to get to your questions. Don't worry. I want to go over a couple things quickly before we get to questions. But I also want to, I also just want to let people know that we've been putting some of the links into the chat. So, and we will send them out afterwards to everybody. You're going to get the slides. I know there was a lot of detail on those. You're going to get the links and you'll get the recording sent to you by registering for this. So a lot of the questions we got as a preview to this session had to do with, is my credit good enough? How is my debt going to affect my ability to get a house? What should my budget be? That kind of thing. You can definitely reach out to our mortgage officers, and we're going to give you that information, such as Daisy and any of our other mortgage officers, to get those questions answered. But if you want to do a deep dive into your budget or get free financial counseling, we have a nonprofit partner called Green Path. You do not need to be a Harvard FCU member to use this link. So we're going to drop the link into the chat, but you can also get to it from our webpage. If you go to Harvard FCU and you go to I Want to Learn and then Green Path, you'll see the information there. So definitely take advantage of this free financial counseling if you feel like, oh, I know my credit score isn't as good as I want it to be. I want to try and get it up. Green Path is a great resource, especially if maybe you're a year or 2 out from buying your house and you'd like to get that help. Here is the link for just finding all about the different products we offer for mortgages. We offer these mass housing loans, but we offer lots of other types of assistance programs. And you can reach Daisy on this page at harvardfcu.org/mortgages. So please visit us and get connected on that. Okay. And we also did a homebuyer forum just back in March, so a few months ago, but I definitely recommend that you go to our YouTube and look at those videos too, because this was specifically about mass housing, but we have a video where you hear from a lawyer and a home inspector about the home buying process. We have a video that walks you through the basic home buying process. We have lots of other financial videos there on our YouTube page, so we would definitely suggest that you reach out to us, that you view those sessions and learn a little bit more if you're still not sure what about the process and kind of where to get started, or just reach out to Daisy. I'm going to ask now, I see Daisy is on screen. Jeff, if you could come back on screen. I think we're going to try and work through some of the questions. Again, put your questions into the Q&A if you want to have our panelists answer them. So one of the questions that I believe I know the answer to, but I just want to make sure, Jeff, we had a couple of people ask for the down payment assistance. Is that a grant or a loan?
Yeah, it is a second mortgage. It's not a grant, but it can be used in conjunction with our products with any grants that are out there. So as mentioned, the goal, the workforce advantage, that mortgage is a 0% deferred. So again, there's no payment on it whatsoever. So you use that 30,000 along with your loan officer to figure out the best way to use it in combination of the down payment, paying the closing costs, or possibly buying the rate down a little bit. And then when you go to sell, refinance, or pay off the first mortgage, that 30,000 is now due. In the case of the 25,000 down payment assistance that works along with the green first time home buyer program or the blue mass housing program, the original program, if you will, that payback would be a second mortgage as well, except you pay it every month at a rate of 2% over 15 years. And that payment is $160.88.
Thank you so much. Daisy, could you just say a little bit about if someone is listening to this and would like to pursue a mass housing loan with Harvard Federal Credit Union, what's their next steps?
So I mean, the next step will be because everybody's situation is, could be different. So the next step will be to make an appointment so we could have an initial consultation, and then we could go over what your goal is. We could talk about your income, essentially do what is called a pre-qualification, which is be a conversation that we have to see what will fit best for you to help you prepare so you can be ready to buy a house once you're ready.
Great, thank you. And we have some other affordability products that we offer as well, in addition to mass housing. Is that right, Daisy?
Correct. So there's an array of options. They all have different requirements, so we will have to see where you fit best once we have that conversation.
Okay. And Jeff, we kind of had a follow-up question to the one that you just answered. So an attendee wants to know, does this mean that mass housing loans cannot be refinanced at a lower rate without losing the down payment assistance benefit?
Yeah, so we do allow refinancing. However, the technical term is we don't what's called subordinate it. So when you go to refinance or sell the house, we're going to ask for you to roll that into the new loan or pay it off. That way that money is available for the next first time home buyer that's looking to buy a home, right? So that's the sole purpose of that. But yeah, typically what ends up happening is when you go to refinance it, whatever the balance is there, whether it's the 25 or 30, whatever balance is there, it just gets rolled into the new loan. So you just have one payment at that point.
Great, thank you. And if people aren't sure if they income qualify, they can either contact Mass Housing at the email and phone number you mentioned, or reach out to Daisy and just find out through there. Is that right?
Yeah, it'd be best served to definitely work with the lender. You can certainly contact us with general questions, but the loan officer, like Daisy, is going to take a deep dive and look at the financials. So that's really a question for the lender rather than myself. Like I said, we answer general questions all the time. But we're not looking at your pay stubs and W-2s and tax returns. The loan officer is going to do that, and they're going to help guide you to which I call it lanes, but which program is going to be best suited for you, or the different options that are available to you.
Great, thank you. Daisy, here's just a question that's a little bit more general about buying a house. Someone says, I live in Brookline, it's highly unaffordable. Do you have a suggested amount of monthly payments that we should target in relation to our paychecks to determine affordability? How do you know what you can afford?
I mean, so that would be, because it's not so much about paychecks, but more so what else is going on. So when we calculate your debt to income ratio, what that means is that we take all of your monthly payments, any applicable monthly payment for items that show up on your credit, such as vehicle loan, credit cards that you do not pay off the statement balance completely every month. If you have any child support, alimony, plus the projected housing payment, we divide the total sum of that by your monthly income before taxes and deductions. And then we get a percentage, and that's what we use. So not so much how many paychecks you have, but what else, what other things are going on with you, like what debts you have, etc.
Right. Okay, great. We had some questions about, how do I afford a mortgage with student debt? How do I improve my credit? So again, as I said earlier, you have access to Green Path services. Everyone on this call is eligible for free financial counseling. Green Path is a nonprofit. Again, they're not trying to make a profit off of you. I'm putting the link in the chat for Green Path. Please feel free. They have many languages available, more than 150 languages, and they have extended business hours. So if you want some counseling, you can go ahead and reach out to Green Path. If you want to talk to Daisy and get down to some nuts and bolts and look at those pay stubs and everything about what you qualify for, Daisy and her colleagues in our mortgage loan office would be delighted to, talk you through that and help you figure out what your options are. Let me see if we have a couple other questions that we could maybe answer. Are there any prohibitions to combining a mass housing loan with Cambridge's Homebridge program? Do you know off the top of your head, either of you?
I am not familiar with Cambridge's. I'm assuming that's a city type
Yeah, the
program
city of
that's out there.
Cambridge, I did put in the chat, because some people are coming from Cambridge and some from Boston. Both cities have a home buyer program. So we might need to look at the details for you and figure out whether or not, but you did say mass housing does allow you to combine with some other programs, correct?
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Let's see. I know, Jeff, you mentioned, and I did put a link in the chat for the Mass Community Climate Bank. We had a question about the programs that you have to upgrade incoming electric in a very old house, or to help with sewer improvements. I don't know that sewer would be covered, but you might help with electric. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So like I said, we have the home improvement loans at very attractive interest rates to help out. There's still qualifications as far as income and stuff like that, but it's definitely used.
And then what about ADUs? If someone wants an accessory to add a mother-in-law apartment, that's often what it's called, right? Or it's another kind of extra unit. Do you have any loans for that?
So that would be more along the lines of a construction loan.
Okay. And that's not something you do, correct?
No, not construction. We do have some of our lenders participate in rehab options. So if you want to get in and maybe the doors need to be widened because one of the borrowers is in a wheelchair, right? And they need funds to do that, or simply redo the bathroom because it's 1960s-ish, and they want to update that. Some of our lenders, we do have an option with that. It's not widely used, to be honest, but it is there with some of our programs. But yeah, no, the home improvement loan is probably a little bit more popular.
Okay. And Daisy or Jeff, I know that when you say first-time home buyer, most of us assume, oh, well, maybe I'm not eligible if I've bought something, but there are some exceptions, right? Can you talk about the 3-year rule and anything else people might want to know about that first-time home buyer?
Do you want to take that one, Daisy?
Sure. So I mean, it depends on the program. So typically a first-time home buyer is somebody that has not had ownership interest in a property, like a home, within the last 3 years. So if let's say that you inherited a property or your parent put your name on the property just for like estate planning purposes, then you technically do not qualify just because you have ownership interest in a property. But otherwise, somebody that's never bought a property or owned a property in the last 3 years, from the day that you apply for the mortgage, you qualify as a first-time home buyer.
Okay. Okay, great. So we had a question, do we have any loan officers who speak Spanish? And Daisy, you are a Spanish speaker as well, right? So
Correct.
people
Yeah.
should feel free to reach out to Daisy. I will put your email into the chat too in a minute. Okay, I think some of the other questions I think we might have to leave for, they're a little bit more individual, and I'm going to encourage people. You will get, in addition to the recording, the slides, you'll get contact information so that you can be reaching out and figure out what your next steps are. So we do want to just offer the disclaimer that this is not tax, legal, or investment advice. If you want that individual counseling, we do recommend Green Path, as we mentioned. We would love your feedback. We're going to ask you to complete a survey. You're going to get that in your email, this link, and please fill it out. We do appreciate your honest feedback. We are Harvard FCU on all social channels, website, etc. So that's the easiest way to be in touch with us. And I think that is all for today. Let me just take a peek at the final questions. Thank you so much for to our panelists. That was a wealth of information. And thank you to everyone who attended. I know we covered a lot, but hopefully you'll have a chance to review it later. And please do reach out to us for anything individual that you would like more information about, because we would love to be in touch with you. Thank you.